Today, we will bestow the Adolf Eichman Award and the Joseph Goebbels Award to two functionaries of the Trump regime. Okay, and I'm not going to say who those are because somebody else is going to come here and talk about that.
The Joseph Goebbels Deplorable Deathly Excellence Award for demonizing and persecuting so-called undesirables is presented to Attorney General Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. In recognition of his grim achievements, first and foremost, we commend his recent Goebbelsian comments about the tide of evil boiling up from Mexico. As he wrote, "It is here on this sliver of land where we first take our stand against this filth." Wow. For dutifully echoing the Führer's lead in fear-mongering about the drugs, gangs, and crime flooding across the border. For faithfully following his direction so that they could say we were only following orders. Whoa. For making sure every undocumented person feels the raw terror that they can be snatched, imprisoned, and deported at any time, for any reason or no reason at all. As he said, everybody in this country illegally is subject to being deported. For separating families, because a child or a family member enters the United States lawfully doesn't mean that others can enter the country unlawfully. For hiring many more federal immigration judges to speed up the deportation process. For criminalizing helping, transporting, or harboring undocumented immigrants. For slashing the minimal protections against the abuse of immigrant detainees. And we could go on and on. And the second deplorable award is the Adolf Eichman Award for leadership in the field of detention and deportation of undesirables is presented to General John Kelly, Secretary of the U.S. of Homeland Security, in recognition for his achievements, for striking terror into the hearts of Muslims everywhere by enforcing Mein Trump's January 27th Muslim ban, for his tireless effort to begin construction of the border wall by the end of the summer 2017, for not letting the political correctness that for too long has dictated our approach to national security, as he says. Stop him from racial profiling and torture, for his shameless commitment to separating families. As he said, "I would do almost anything to deter the people from Central America." For adding 10,000 new ICE agents and 5,000 Border Patrol agents to speed up arrests and deportation. Whoa! In the category of lifetime achievement, we would recognize the efforts of the former Southern Command to keep the Guantanamo Torture Center open. As he said, there are no innocent men down there. And a special Joseph Mengele appreciation for overseeing the force feeding of hunger strikers there. I could go on and on, but Eichmann would be proud.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple of things here. Most recently, General John Kelly, who has been touted as the moderate in the Trump, a moderating influence in the Trump regime, if you recall, when he was first appointed, the head of the Department of Homeland Security. The New York Times, not a radical journal, as far as I know, recently made this comment about a speech that that General Kelly made at George Washington University. And this is what the New York Times said. His apocalyptic talk turns Islamophobia and immigrant scapegoating that turbocharged the Trump campaign into marching orders for the federal law enforcement agents and bureaucrats. In other words, what we're looking at here are functionaries of this regime that are marshaling and rallying and puffing up the agents of a potential disaster in this country. You know, we've gone through years of deportation and demonization of immigrants, detentions. The United States has the largest number of detention centers, the largest number of immigrants of any country in the world held in detention, and now they want to expand that. So here we have a functionary of the government, the head of the Homeland Security, that is rallying the troops to become even more vicious and more bloodthirsty and more, hard-hearted towards the immigrants and other targeted people in this country.
Hell no!
Hell no is right. The other thing I wanted to say is talking about Jefferson Beauregard Sessions, who was recently at Nogales on the border with in Arizona. Nogales is both on U.S. side. There's a Nogales, Mexico, and Nogales, Arizona. He was over there in Nogales rallying apparently the ICE troops there to do their job. His remarks were so extreme, and the comments that he made, the suggestions he made about demonizing, not only demonizing, but criminalizing and actually incarcerating people who bring their families over here, or people who transport or house immigrants. They're talking about criminalizing, putting people in jail for transporting or housing immigrants that are here. He's also talking about a felony offense for people who are here without documents. And these comments that he made were so, extreme that one prosecuting attorney called them fucking frightening. I think that's the word. Fucking horrifying is what he said. And this was a prosecuting attorney. Wow. So this is the kind of thing that we're facing here. You know, what I tried to say in terms of the remarks I was making, that in Germany, we can look back on it and think, well, how in the hell could people have put up with that? Or how could people not have known that this was going on? And yet, there were people that didn't realize what was going on, or didn't realize how bad things could be, because things were not, telegraphed in a clear way. I mean, the Nazis went about it, doing this and then pulling back, and then doing that and pulling back. So, anyway, I think it's really important here on this Holocaust Remembrance Day that we pledge ourselves to do everything in our power to rally the people. And I know there are millions of people in this country that hate this regime, and millions of people are resisting. We were out with this march the other day of 50,000 or so people for science. There's going to be tens of thousands more, hundreds of thousands across the country, maybe millions, to defend the science of climate change. And then on May 1st, which is extremely important, we've got to have millions of people in this country in the streets on a day without immigrants, declaring that we stand with our immigrant brothers and sisters, and we will not allow this regime and this government to persecute them, and to do what Sessions and Kelly are talking about doing. We have these statements, these awards that Troy was reading from, and these are being presented in many places across the country. I don't know how many, okay? We had an idea of a delegation from here, from this group here, to go into ICE and make a formal request that whoever's in charge up there come down, and we will present these awards to them to be forwarded to those who rightfully deserve them. So that's sort of our idea. Anybody who wants to join us to go in there and do that, you're welcome. If you don't want to, perfectly understandable why you wouldn't want to go in that building. Quiero decir que nuestro plan ahorita es queremos presentar el premio de Joseph Goebbels y de Adolf Eichman, que vamos a presentar a el general Kelly, el jefe de seguridad de la tierra, I don't know, homeland. La tierra. Not de la tierra, no. Anyway. It doesn't translate. Y otro, Jeff Sessions, quien es el fiscal de Estados Unidos. Anyway, vamos a entrar en el edificio, los que quieran, y vamos a pedir que el jefe de la migra viene y hablar con nosotros y vamos a presentar el premio a ellos entonces. Okay, so, yeah.
Please tell my migra we apologize for not being able to stay for lunch.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that, Roger. All right, is there anybody else before we close out this segment of things that wants to say something? Yeah.
I just wanted to thank the family members of those who lost loved ones in the Holocaust and came to speak. It reminds me of April 14th when students at UC Berkeley held arms together and made it an inconvenience for people to enter the university because in representation of the stolen lives of those murdered by police in this country, and how people love to turn a blind eye, but we need to face reality, and until we do, and until we stand up against that, this is not going to stop. So thank you for your words.
So we going in?
Yeah, we're going to go in.